Hey. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. I'm set up a little differently here with I don't have my boom mic. Switching out some equipment, and I haven't got that to work yet with the new stuff. I've already started to sell things off as I get ready to start wandering again at the end of the year. When the lease is up here, I'm going to wander, and I think I'm going to start by wandering through Europe, which I haven't been there in 5 years. So it's time for me to return there. Anyway, I gave this one a name because, and by the way, I want to make sure you can all hear me. The mic did test okay and appears to be working. So I will scroll down to the bottom really quick. So if anybody cannot hear me, please say something right this moment before I launch off into, the most wonderful thing I've ever said and have nobody hear it. Good. Thank you, Bob. Beautiful. Anyway, I gave this one a name and even gave it a different image, if you noticed. Oop. Sorry. As I said, the equipment is getting used to each other. So the screen kind of blanks out periodically. Anyway, the knower, the act of knowing, right, is so essential to the non-dual inquiry. It really is where we put our attention, is on our own knowingness. Nisargadatta put it beautifully. He said, I am that by which I know I am. It is the subtlest of all experience, the actual experience of knowing anything. What is known is infinitely diverse. It is always novel and varied. It's always flowing. It never stops for a second. Just check in with your sensations right now. They're not a thing that's sitting there, right? It's a constant flow. What you're seeing with your eyes, hearing with your ears, just tuning into your body for a second and just feeling your body. And it's not a thing. It's not a, like a rock or something. And even our experience of a rock is a flow of sensation. So we can't really be sure that the rock isn't changing, isn't fluctuating in the same way, because our experience of everything is a never ceasing flow of change, which Buddha referred to as impermanence. This is all there is to all experience. But the experiencing itself, the knowing of what you are experiencing, that's something completely different. It's not a sensation. It's not a thought or an emotion. Those are all appearing like on a screen. It's something else altogether. If that could be seen with just a little bit of insight, recognizing that it is not the same as thought or emotion or sensation. It's a completely different substance. It opens the door to a deeper kind of inquiry. What is it that is knowing? Who is this, the knower? Now, it does not take any great intellect or stretch of the imagination to recognize that the knower is you. You are the one that is there, to which all of this experiencing is happening, is appearing. It's you, right? So the knowing and the knower are you, right? You could think of knowing as an attribute of you, but you have to be there. Before any experience can be had, you've got to be there prior to all of it. And if it stopped, if suddenly all experience stopped, you would still be having the experience of you. You would still be knowing your own being. You would simply be recognizing that there's no experiencing right now, prior to even knowing that you are. And I just want to make that really practical and not something abstract, right? Because it isn't abstract. Matter of fact, it's the only thing that isn't abstract. It is incredibly concrete because it's unmoving, it's always there, it never changes. But is it even an it? You see, the whole point of non-dual inquiry is to sort out what is obviously experiential, an experience you're having, and what is you that is having that experience. For our entire lives, ever since we got conditioned, we have mixed up, we have confused us, you that is having the experience, with the experiencing you're having, right? The essence of that being, that primary thought, that primary belief, I am the body. And what is the body but the sum total of all of our experiences? It is all sensation, it is all emotion, it is all thought. And the word body, the idea of a body, is in fact an abstraction. What you experience is sensation, emotion, and thought, which we then attribute to this body delimited by the skin, sitting in a world interacting with these others. But that I am the body thought, right, is it true? Because obviously, if all there is to the body is a constant, impermanent flow of thoughts, emotions, and sensations, and I'm watching those flow, they're all coming and going, and I'm not, then I can't be the body. Now, how do I know myself? How do I conceive of myself? How can I think of myself? Except thinking of myself as the body. And we all do, right? I'm this body, I'm this old, I'm this gender, I'm in this town, I've had these experiences, I believe this stuff, I don't believe that stuff, right? These are all the experiences we have, and this is the way we think of ourselves. So how do I know myself? How do I conceive of myself without referencing the body? This is the entire thrust, the entire point of this inquiry. Because it's an inquiry, isn't it? How do I know me when I do not identify with anything I am perceiving? Because obviously, if I can perceive it, I must be standing separate from it, so it can't be me. But examine that more closely, and a really amazing thing appears. Well, if everything I perceive can't be me, then I can't be perceived. Which means I've never seen myself. I've never thought of myself. I've never known anything about myself. All just thoughts and sensations and feelings and experiences. Because I cannot perceive myself, No thought I can hold of me can possibly be me. And just ponder that for a moment. In that one insight, all human knowledge can be set aside. Right? It's not going to take 30 years in a monastery to undo all of that. All it takes is that I obviously cannot perceive myself. Therefore, all human knowledge is set aside. It's useful for everyday life. It's totally irrelevant for the existential question of who am I? So no experience, no thoughts, no sensations, yet you know that you are. Again, from Nisargadatta, I am that by which I know I am. The knowingness itself. And really look at it. Isn't that the only thing that's ever been going on in your whole life? This knowingness, this awareness. So just ponder that. The knower, the ultimate knower. And bring it home, right? Because the ultimate knower is obviously you, right? At least within the context of your life, there's not another knower, right? There's other people who claim to know you and say a bunch of stuff, but you're knowing them. Within the context, within the inner world of your own being, kind of the solitude of your inner being, you are the ultimate knower. Even God appears to you. Ponder that. That knower, that knowingness, that knower that is not a thing that cannot be described, that is the ultimate. That's as far as you can go. No one can go further than that. That is the ultimate end of the spiritual quest. You. Without reference to anything other than you. So, welcome again to Satsang. It's time for me to head over to the phones and see who's called in. Hello, Roberto, the southern tip of Spain, looking at Morocco on the other side of the Strait of Gibraltar. Lovely. On vacation. Love to hear that. Hello, GP. It's Mary Sykes. Hello, Mary. Mary's leaving for a drum circle. I love drum circles. They are so much fun. Roberta says, I loved your last Facebook dialogue with Lisa. Very comprehensive and concise. Easy to understand and feel. I had 2 terrible days after that. I hope I can put it into practice. When you have terrible days, right, don't think of them as a mistake you've made, as a problem you've got now, as something you've done wrong, right? Or, a boat you've missed. This is the natural ebb and flow of the changing landscape in which we all exist, in which our consciousness is embedded and the experience we're having. That is the nature of experience itself. Now, instead of saying I had a couple of bad days, simply look at the quality of the day. Because, if your life had been absolutely miserable, you were broke on the street, and you had the kind of days you had those 2 days, sitting at the Strait of Gibraltar looking at Morocco, I don't think you'd call it a bad day. Remember, it's all what we compare it to. And we get this idea in mind of this idyllic state that somehow we're supposed to be in. There's no such thing. Awakening is not a state of perpetual bliss. It is a state of awakeness to whatever, without attaching inherent meaning to any experience. No meaning, no comparing, no suffering. So there's no such thing as a bad day inherently. The day is just the day. This is just life. But when our minds start comparing it and making assessments, and this shouldn't be this way, it should be that way, the mind says it's a bad day. Life doesn't say it's a bad day. The universe doesn't say it's a bad day. God didn't print it in some holy book. Today's a bad day. That's all how we assess it. If you recognize it's just your assessment of it, you immediately get complete and total power over it. You don't have to change it anymore, right? Because the perceiver of it has changed. You have seen it merely as a perception, and that perception was distorted. There's never anything wrong, ever. Right? There's nothing either good nor bad, but thinking makes it so, right? From Shakespeare. Thinking makes it so. Right? And in that thinking, believed, it creates the emotional experience of it being a bad day. And from that emotional experience, we derive the sense of its reality, like it really is a bad day, not realizing that the emotions that are reacting to it are completely fabricated. They're based on a false assumption. There's nothing wrong with the day. Switch the eyes that are looking at it, and you'll go immediately from samskara to nirvana, from hell to heaven, like that. Have no expectation of what it should be, and it will be perfect. I'm glad you like that. People are really liking the new format for the show that I'm doing with Lisa, and I have too. Even she, who does not like to be on video, has gotten used to it and is really enjoying it. Robbie in Romania, late in the evening in Romania, indeed it is. Rosario in Madrid, good to see you. Hendrik, hi G and everyone. Hendrik, just for recapitulation, being aware of the beingness something is here, and then asking who is aware of that. Is that appropriate? Yes. Yes, that's quite appropriate. You're aware of that beingness, right? But even that subtle sense of your own being, it is the subtlest of all vibrations, right? That subtleness is what is known as the I am. That's God, right? And yet there is something that cannot be detected at all that is aware of that. This is simply the threshold, that which is aware of that cannot itself be aware, because there's nothing there to be aware of. In order for you to be an awareness of something, it's got to have some kind of quality, some kind of discernible characteristic in contradistinction to something else. There's got to be something else, right? It takes two. This is the duality, right? Now, that which is aware of the subtlest of the subtle, it cannot be perceived at all. How can it? It would have to be two, right? The scale can't weigh itself, right? Because it's one, right? The knife can't cut itself because it's one. A finger can't touch itself because it's one. So in its oneness, it is unknowable. And so it becomes pure knowing itself. I just am. That's it. I have no qualities. I have no characteristics. I have nothing that distinguishes me. I have no boundaries, no beginning or end. Yet within me appears the vastness of all experience, which is nothing other than me. Me known, me unknown. So yes, that's exactly the case. Who is aware of that? And you'll notice how the mind tries to come up with some object that is aware of that. And you just keep saying, yes, but I'm aware of that. And I'm aware of that. There have been stories about people having, in this kind of an inquiry, one famous sage, woman sage, in this kind of an inquiry and falling into samadhi, and then she had these experiences of heavenly music, right? Really, the kind of experiences people want, right? And in the midst of this, she said, "That's the most beautiful music I've ever heard, but I'm hearing it. Can't be me. Lights, colors, angelic beings, right? The kind of stuff that people think it's all about." But she was wise enough to go, it is beautiful. Oh, nothing I've ever seen before, but it can't be me. The mind will produce all sorts of things to give you something to hold on to experientially as an identity. Your job is to recognize that you cannot be known. And the only struggle is the last vestiges in us that want to hold on to something until you finally just completely let go and be the nothing. And of course, you find absolutely nothing gets lost because all of this is the nothing that you are. Perfect, Hendrik. Perfect, perfect. Raphael, GP. The dream of me, as well as other beliefs, seem very hard to see through. Can you speak to how to see through the belief of a me, given the pattern of thought, feeling, and sensations that creates it? Yes, well, that is what non-dual inquiry is. The kind of the method by which I help people come to do that more easily is what I call inner reconciliation. To see that this process, right? So first off, the dream of me, as well as other beliefs, seem very hard to see through, right? Now, let's kind of break that down. Right? How to see through the belief of a me. Right? When you say see through, what do you mean? What are you expecting to happen? What does that seeing through? How does that appear to you? Right? And if you look, you'll notice that very subtly there's kind of a preconceived idea of what that should be. Right? Now, the me you're trying to see through. What are you trying to see? Right? I'm going to assume that what you're trying to see is the real you, right? But is the real you over there? And somehow this false sense of me is in the way of seeing it? What is it that recognizes thought, emotion, and sensation? Is that something other than you? Even the thought of me, which is an extremely subtle thought, projected upon sensation, emotion, and all other thoughts, is itself being witnessed by something else that is not that thought of me. It's the true I. The I prior even to the thought I. Pure knowing. Not even the idea of I. Pure knowing. So you don't need to see through me in the sense that there's nothing on the other side for you to see. Now just notice that the habit energy of the nervous system constantly generating a new version of a me has been going on from the beginning. I teach that as the storyteller mind. It's a natural function of life. Identification is part of what the whole energy system does, right? It's just what it does. Like a dog barks, it creates identities, right? You don't need to stop it from doing that. As a matter of fact, you need it to do that because that's how we become incredibly resourceful in responding to every given moment in a very appropriate way. That's part of the incredible creativity of life. When I identify myself, when there's one thought that this is what I am and not that is there, and it has not been seen as a belief yet, then we seem to get stuck. We feel like we're stuck in a particular person. That happens early on. It gets completely embedded into the nervous system as standardized automated behaviors and thoughts and feelings and the like. And this is what we call the ego. This is the me that seems so difficult to overcome. That's only because it is a pattern of energy, a pattern of behavior that the nervous system has created to keep it safe in the environment that you're in. Now, it wasn't you. It never was you. It isn't you now. That's all you have to do. Okay? What happens is we get this, somehow we get this idea that somehow all of that's supposed to stop and then I'm going to be free. No, stop is for me. It happens all the time. There's always somebody else coming up there. Me? Is it my turn? Can I be that? And they're all there. Right? There are all these potentials for the way life can be. They're the potentials for simply being in the world in the most appropriate way. None of them are me. Like when I'm sitting here doing satsang, answering questions, I'm not my grandpa. I'm not grandpa for my 4-year-old granddaughter. Right? When I'm there, I'm definitely not this. I'm down. I'm playing in the dirt. We're on the swings, scooters, right? Right? Be completely inappropriate. It simply wouldn't fit. Or if I, suddenly broke into song in the grocery store, well, I might do that. You just realize that life is just in this constant flow, and that you are beyond all of the flow, and yet actively participating, even celebrating in it. So there's nothing wrong with this constant churn, this constant creating of a me. Because I can sense in your question, it's like, how do I get rid of that? You don't. You simply recognize that that's what it does. It's gotten stuck in a few patterns, right? And the more you see it as simply a pattern, the more those patterns loosen up and they become freed. Right? And suddenly there's more creativity available. There's more expansiveness. There's more spaciousness. And you start actually feeling good in your body. You feel good in this person, whoever it might be. Because it's not a problem, right? I'm enjoying GP. Kind of like him. He's done a lot of stupid stuff, but it's turned out okay. So this is. I hope this is helping you, because you have to get lighten up about this, because I know, because the conditioning can become so oppressive. It's like, oh my God, I'll do anything to get out of it. That when you have a glimpse, right, that it isn't who I am and there is a way out, we want to, oh damn, now, please, right? We don't want to wait another minute, right? It's okay. It's okay. This is all part of the process of coming to see you who you are so profoundly that all the antics of the egoic mind will cease to be an issue. They will continue for a while. You can even find yourself getting caught in it for a while, getting angry about something for no apparent reason, crying for no apparent reason. But when it's not a problem that happens, it will simply be an occurrence. And there's actually a joy in it. Oh, how sweet. Look at that. Oh, yes, I could see. I was really hurt then. Can you just feel the burden lifts? It's not a problem. Right? This is the mastery of life, right? Non-dual inquiry transcends, but it doesn't remove you, right? When it transcends, it takes all life with it, brings it to this place of enormous love and enormous appreciation and tenderness and safety. And you just celebrate your humanness and the humanness of all of us. So hopefully that helps you, Raphael. Beautiful question. Crispin, my man in Switzerland. Hello, GP and dear friends. Just like to share my today's experience. I'm now 55. Is that today? Happy birthday. Happy 55 laps around the sun. And I'm going through a phase of suffering with some uncertainties, including about my future. Today, I desperately sat down and asked, in the tradition of Ramana Maharshi, who am I? And to the answer Crispin, I asked, and to whom does this answer come? Immediately, tears came to me, followed by some wonderful and practical suggestions for my future. I went home and started working out these ideas. What a simple but profound question can do. Oh, thank you for showing me that, for sharing that with us all. Yes, I'm so glad that you could do that, right? For a lot of people, especially get a certain level of maturity on the spiritual path, and when suddenly you find yourself suffering over something, there's a tendency to beat yourself up. Oh God, I didn't get it. Oh my God, G's going to yell at me. I'm supposed to get it by now. But instead, you sat down and said, to whom are these appearing? That is profound. That is a profound shift in you, because I don't think you would have done that a year ago. And then the answer came, Crispin. And I said, well, and to whom does this answer come? Even Crispin is just a word, right? I didn't even choose it. It got laid on me. It's just a word. And suddenly what happens? The disidentification, space. And what's in that space? Infinite intelligence. It is emptiness in the fact that it doesn't have any kind of form or structure or body. It's just pure intelligence, pure creativity, pure love. And all of a sudden, very practical things start unfolding. And notice, your energy shifted, and what happened? Your whole universe shifted around it. Oh God, that's so beautiful, 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 beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm sure everybody here is going, yeah. Ava, hello to you, my special agent in Poland. Hello, Ursula, Madeira Island, David and Elaine. Hello, guys. Hariom G from J. Danielle. Hello, Danielle. Happy to see you too. There's Bob, Andrea. Hugs from Brazil. Good to have you, Andrea. Marty Hale. Hi to all from Vancouver, Washington. Not far from me. Patricia, love and warm greetings to you all. Thank you, G, for sharing all these nuggets with us. My pleasure. All I'm doing is sharing what gets shared with me. I don't have any storehouse of nuggets or nuts. Well, I do have some nuts, and some seeds, but I don't store these little witticisms up. They just happen. There's just jumped ahead on me. Where is it? Marty, Virginia. There, I missed Virginia. Very good. There's Steffi. Hello, Steffi. Namaskaram G and everyone. How can we see each other new and fresh in each moment and situation without distortion of the past? Thanks a lot. You're very welcome. Well, we start by seeing ourselves without any distortion. We don't have to see people new and fresh in the sense that, let's put it this way, we don't need to see, they don't need to become new and fresh, right? Because they already are. This is simply the way the mind works. And again, folks, it's not a problem once we understand what happens. It is very natural, and the way the mind functions, to kind of take snapshots of things, right? The mind can't deal with constant change, which is what life actually is, right? Life is never, ever the same. Now, for most of human history and the history of all life on the planet, those changes were extremely gradual, right? They didn't happen overnight. Climate changes, thousands of years, ice ages and the like. Every now and then, something like a comet would come by and in an instant change things, and a volcano would erupt, an earthquake would happen, and entire cities would vanish. But those are very rare, right? And so there's a certain anticipation in our entire energy system that things are going to be the same today as they were yesterday, at least close enough that I'm not starting from scratch. Well, in our modern world, that's not so much the case. Anytime every time you've gotten a new upgrade on your phone and suddenly you don't know where stuff is, it's like, what? you realize that it's becoming increasingly, the rate of change is happening quicker and quicker. Yet our nature is to want to try to freeze things. When life starts changing too quickly, we can actually retract into fundamentalism and all sorts of belief systems to try, please don't change. I can't handle it. But of course you can handle it, right? The picture we have in our mind of someone, of anyone, is not them. It's proverbial. People get together. They fall in love. Everything is wonderful, right? And then all of a sudden, after a period of time, you see something you never saw before. It takes you completely by surprise. Now, it could have been there the entire time, right? Or it could be that they've been gradually changing over time, but you haven't been seeing the change. You've been seeing the image you're holding of them, right? And so all of a sudden, when what is happening out here is so out of whack with your image, it suddenly, wait a minute, what happened? Well, change is forever. Change is constant. There's always changing going on. But our minds want to fix things. We take pictures. We have a Kodak moment. We want the video. We want to keep referring back to the video, right? Where no moment is ever the same as a previous moment. To simply want to see things new and fresh can also be a way of, well, I'm not going to go there right this second. The past is always, because you asked about the distortion of the past is always projecting itself onto the present. Again, this is a natural phenomena of the human nervous system. It wants to assume that the present is the same as the past, because in the past, I could handle it. I could stay safe. I could make things work. So I just have to assume that the present is the same as the past. And if it isn't, I'm going to try to make it into it. I'm either going to hide from myself the evidence that it's changed, or I'm going to actively try to force it back into that model. So how do you become free from that? is the real question, so that you can see the new and fresh. But remember, the new and fresh may not be pleasant, right? The new and fresh may be a diversion, which happens all the time in relationships. You know, the new, the new is not headed in the same direction as I am. Ooh, now what? Especially if lives have become entwined together, then it becomes, you know, obviously there's some emotional pain at making a split there, right? Sometimes it's, I mean, it's so bad that it's not hard to make the split. You just want to cut it. So this, let go of every idea you have about everything and everyone. Let go of absolutely everything. Hold no picture whatsoever. Because every picture is but a representation. Now, don't worry about, you know, that it's going to make you vulnerable. It won't. The nervous system is doing its job. It's constantly comparing, right? But if there's no part of you that wants to hold on to a past that isn't there anymore, then the nervous system is free to constantly make adjustments. And it will, right? Yes, it's going to want to keep things the same. It's going to want to keep them as best as it can, right? But if there's no energy behind it from you, the owner of the nervous system, and you're just letting it be what it naturally is, the most adaptive thing that the universe has ever seen, it will naturally just flow with the ups and downs of life without suffering, and that's key. And then new things will show up. New beautiful things will show up. Completely unexpected things from unexpected places will show up. They always do. And they will change, right? They will have a birth and they will develop over time, right? They will morph, right? This is the nature of it. But recognize that you are not the same every day, every moment, every single moment. Your body is turning over, you know, your nervous system is reassessing, right? And I think one of the big blessings that this time of uncertainty and chaos and enormous change and increasing rapidity of change is we are letting go of our investment in and our attachment to form and becoming the formless flow, because that's the true nature of consciousness. It is just flowing. And as we do that, guess what? The form that seems so solid, that too will be fluid. And then you'll be realizing exactly what you're talking about, what you're looking, seeing each other as new and fresh in each moment. And there'll be no need to hold somebody into a particular form or particular pattern. Right? And then every thing that comes into your life, every one that comes into your life will serve their purpose, right? They'll be there for a short time, a long time. They will be there, and then they too will move on. But it won't be like, there'll be a sense of continuity, a sense of, it's not like this one's gone, another one's shown up, or this has happened and now this has happened. There'll be this absolute stream of continuity, like it is one eternal event constantly unfolding, because that's in fact what it is. And so we can welcome all the wondrous, mysterious, and amazing new things that are constantly coming to us. Thank you for that. Steph. Merck. Hey, GP. Greetings from sunny Stockholm. No questions. Questioner is on hiatus at the moment. Good. Peter. Hello, Peter. Good evening again, GP. Hello to everyone. Glad to be here. I love how you explain what we forgot. Much love. Yeah, which you can't really actually forget. Not really. You can't forget it. You can't forget you. You can forget your thoughts of you, right? But well, I forgot who I was. But there you are. It is so instant and so immediate, right? The mind just gets a little bit flustered by it. Thank you, Peter. Annette Rockstar, hi, GNL. Who are you without memory, without all the ideas and beliefs about who you've been, without referring in any way to anything that ever happened? You're just you. Simple. We need these references to talk, to carry on, our everyday life. But they're temporary, right? They're not self-defining. They're not absolute, right? And so while we need this stuff for everyday life, we don't need it to know who you are, right? So that is the question. Who am I without any reference to anything? Just try it. Set aside the past, right now. There's no need. You don't have to bring it with you to satsang, right? You left it outside. Because what is the past but simply a bunch of thought references, right? An I, a sense of me, a body, experiences that were in the past, none of which are here now. Okay, just set it aside, right? Thoughts will come, but don't be interested in them, right? We're not engaging with that narrative right now. Now the same as the future, right? All your ambitions, the things you'd like to have and do, who you would like to become, all your aspirations, even the aspiration for enlightenment, all thoughts. So we just put them aside. No past, no future. And not even your current sense of yourself. Who am I in this moment? Any answer that your mind might come up with. Right? We're not paying any attention, no engagement whatsoever. Just empty of everything. What's left? You're still here. Maybe those thoughts are still rumbling around. But if they were completely gone, it was totally silent. Not just you not engaging with them. You would still be here, right? Who is that? Now, if I ask that question, who is that? Your mind will want to answer the question, right? That will always be based on a memory, and then a memory twisted into anticipation for the future, always. Right? But we've already said, no, that's not really it. That's just something that's appearing. Right? So not that either. All right, well then, I'm here, but as what? I don't know. I'm just here. I'm silent. I'm empty. Do you have any borders? Can you find a boundary? Can you find any form at all that isn't a construct of the mind? No. I just am. That's you. That's pure you, pure being. This is what's meant when they say you're pure awareness, because you are, and you know that you are. Sat Chit Ananda. And notice that it's totally peaceful. Not emotionally, an emotional high or some kind of, blissed out state. It's just quiet, still. That's Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. That's you, pure being. Everything is the pure being, which is Sat Chit Ananda. You are that. And notice your mind cannot conceive of it. And that's really the only struggle we go through in the non-dual inquiry, is because we're so used to relying on our minds. The mind is just absolutely certain it's going to find something, some concept, some image, some form it can point to and say, that's me. But if I'm pointing to it, it can't be me. I'm always what it is reporting to. That's you. Your mind won't get this. And so it'll be filled with doubt, but who cares? Who's looking at the doubt? Who sees the doubt? Does somebody doubting have any effect on the truth? Somebody can doubt the truth, but does it make it anything other than truth? This is you, Annette. This is all of you. This is the one you. It doesn't even have an other. It's not localized in the body. The body appears in it. This imaginary 3D world is just an image, just a little bubble of consciousness in the vast ocean of pure awareness that you are. Does that help? It's just a simple exercise. No, really, I derive that from Muji's invitation. The same kind of exercise. You just look for yourself, see what's there. We just have to take it upon ourselves to be willing to set aside all of our self-concepts, all of our memories, all of our anticipations, even the desire for enlightenment, which can become a mental construct and a motivation that drives externally focused behaviors and seeking. Right? But you're not out there. You're here. Thank you, Annette. Peter's in Italy. Thank you, Peter. Play on in Sweden. Nice haircut, says Anne. Actually, it's not a haircut. I just pulled it back. I haven't had a haircut for a very long time now. This is my, but I'm not going to do a man bun. I'm too old for the man bun. Suzanne, hello, G. Is it possible to learn how to transmit energy and to heal? The answer is yes, of course it is. One has to understand the nature of energy, and that on a particular level, everything is energy. Right? Now, that is an approximation, right? Because energy is a concept, right? We can see that everything we experience has at its root a common thing. I mean, it's what science has been searching for. Einstein spent the whole latter part of his career looking for the unified field theory. He was convinced that there was a unified essence to it all. It wasn't scattered. At the heart of all manifest form was something a single field, right? Not a particle, but a field from which everything has arisen. It's very close and it's very spiritual, but it's still it's spiritual in its intent. It is still very material in its concept because it thinks of that energy as something other than myself. It's kind of our modern way of doing what native cultures and Aboriginal cultures have done forever. They saw a singularity. They saw a single essence manifest as the whole universe. It was called God or Brahman or something of that nature, but not a God as something separate, right? A God immanent in, because everything is clearly derived from something else. You can take everything and break it down into its parts. Everything is a manifestation of something. What is that thing? Well, that one thing is what, in popular terminology now, I say, oh, that's energy. Everything is energy. But just that's not enough. Because now we think, what is energy then? And then I come up with ways of trying to manipulate energy, right? But that which is trying to manipulate it is the energy itself. So in that sense, if you and I are absolutely at that level, one, I don't have to transmit anything. Right? Whatever I know about me, I know about you. Whatever I clear from me, I clear from you. All I have to do is clear from myself the idea that there's a separate you. And if that's completely removed from my consciousness as a separate you, then what I know about me, I know about you. And whatever I process or handle or heal within myself, I automatically heal within you. That's what's meant when Christ took on the sins of the world. It wasn't, this burning, bleeding thing. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. Not, treat them really well the way you treat yourself. I mean, the golden rule, treat others as you'd have them treat you. That's nice because they're still two, but this is different. Love your neighbor as yourself. Because why? They are yourself. It is only this false sense of separation that makes you and I something different. There's some distance there that I have to transmit energy. Now, within the belief system of that separation, we can then believe in transmitting energy. It will appear as if the energy has transmitted, and you will have done, healing work to people on other sides of the globe, and it will appear to work. But as you can see, it's not really the truth. It is a belief that allows for a different level of interactivity, that allows for a higher thing to take place. But it's still based on the idea. It's still a belief. It's not the truth yet. I don't have to transmit energy if you're me. I simply have to rid myself of the idea that you're something other than that there is something other than the pure intelligence that is the universe. Because the real energy is not a mindless substance out of which minds have been created. The real energy is consciousness itself, self-aware existence. And the ultimate of self-aware existence is boundless consciousness. And if it is boundless, there is only one of them. It appears as many, but it is only one. So as the healer, you simply rid yourself of the belief that there's anybody who needs to be healed. That may sound really, really radical. And I don't just always go right for there. I take you through steps as I show you about that. Inner reconciliation is part of that process by which you grasp that. And you finally see there's nobody. I don't have to transmit energy because there's nobody there. I have to hold them in love, not as something other, but the deepest kind of love, the love of myself, the union with myself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your enemies as yourself. And in that oneness, if we are one, where can illness come? How can there be division? How can there be strife? This is the ultimate of love. And that's the real healer. So hopefully that answers it for you, Suzanne. I don't practice energy healing like many do, because how can I practice energy healing when there's nobody there? How can I send energy to someone? Right? They're right here. Right? I just fill them up. I bring them in. Oops, sorry. The unmanifested. Did I miss something prior to that? I don't think so. K. The unmanifested power of now, the void, everywhere, nowhere at the same time. Yeah. Observed and observer archetype. Okay. Do you have a question, Kay? Heartfelt, thank you for your answer, says Hendrik. You're welcome. Bonsoir, cher JP. Bonsoir, Marguerite. Martin, hello. Is being on an empty stomach important for a meditative practice? Thanks. No, obviously, if you've just had a big, Thanksgiving dinner or something, and you just drank half a bottle of red, then meditation is going to have a different feel, a different character. But you could do it even then, because it's really, meditation is the moment your attention goes away from what you are experiencing towards the experiencer itself, you're meditating. That's all there is to it. It's not a special technique, at least not the way I teach it. It has no special objective. It has no special costume or posture. Right? Meditation is simply bringing attention to the self. Consciousness turning its attention towards consciousness, right? Which simply means away from all of the objects that normally get our attention, in an attempt to bring into sharp focus that which is aware of all the things that have gotten our attention, that to which attention is always reporting. And it doesn't require anything special to do that. Right? Yes, we do get, because our minds can get very, very busy and active, and we're used to that, and we've all been, very much trained into our heads. You sometimes may need to go out to nature, get into a quiet place, right? And of course, even when you're in a very quiet place, the mind's still going. The mind's still going, right? Just remember that you don't have to stop the mind, right? If you try to stop the mind, you'll fail. As Mooji says, trying to stop the mind is like trying to stop the wind dressed as a kite, right? The act of trying to stop it is like plugging it in, giving it more juice, right? Because it's an intention. And in that intention, you set up a relationship with the mind. And in so doing, you create the energy of action, right? Lose interest in it. Doesn't matter what the mind says. It does not matter. Even the mind says, you really need to have a quiet mind to meditate. And you go, no, I don't. Thank you. But no, I don't. I'm simply right in this moment doing my best to bring my attention away from the objects of perception to the ultimate perceiver. I may be 1,000% successful at that and fall into a deep samadhi, or I may be pulled out every 2 seconds. It doesn't matter, right? I'm doing it. That is meditation. It is the desire to know yourself, right? Consciousness putting its attention on consciousness. Because look, what else meditates other than consciousness? The cushion you sit on doesn't meditate. The clothes you're wearing, they're not meditating. The posture you're in, that's not meditating. You are. Consciousness is. It's simply going back to its source, right? And the more interesting that becomes, and the less interesting the mind becomes, the more quiet it is, because it feeds on your attention. You know, it's like ratings on TV. If it doesn't get the views, right? If it doesn't get the views, it gets dropped, right? So don't give your mind good ratings. So, you know, there are various kinds of practices and techniques that go with meditation. Some people want you to fast, right? And yes, of course, if you fast for a while, it's going to have an effect, right? But we're not here to get an effect, right? Because you can have somebody, what happens then? Okay, I'm fasting now. I don't have any food in my stomach. I'm there. Oh God, it's so quiet. I'm hungry. I gotta eat, right? You can't stop eating forever, right? So no, you're gonna go have your meal. It's like, and the mind's back again. So obviously that's not it. That isn't what brings the pure and unchanging freedom and quiet and inner quiet. It's the losing of interest. Nisargadatta says that. You don't have to stop the mind, just lose interest. It's not interesting. It doesn't have anything new to say. As we all know, it's from the past, right? I mean, it's the same thing it was saying yesterday. It's like, okay, you're right. It's the 800th rerun. I know every line by heart. Thank you. I don't need you right now. Thanks, Martin. Beautiful. Karen, hello. I'm not very receptive. Can it be learned or trained? Oh, Karen, the very fact you asked that question, you're asking me to answer it, means you are receptive. You want to hear the answer. That's receptivity, right? This is a trick your mind has played, right? Because your mind's stuck in a pattern and it's blaming you for it. It's kind of, you're just not very receptive, Karen. That's the problem, right? I'm fine. I'm doing just fine. You're just not receptive. The technical term for this is bullshit. It's not true. You're naturally receptive. Right? Listen to your heart right now. You ask that question because you really want the answer. Is that not receptivity? The receptivity is not whether or not your mind is willing to kind of roll over and agree with it, right? Because the real culprit is the mind, not you. It's the mind that's not receptive. It doesn't want to hear anything other than what it's been believing the entire time. And so it says, oh, you're not very receptive, Karen. I'm trying my hardest here, and you're just making it very difficult. It's like that your friend that does something stupid and then blames you for it. Well, you should have stopped me. I tried to stop you. Yeah, well, you should have tried harder. I mean, we all have had friends like that, right? Receptivity is as natural to you as breathing. And it is what motivated you to ask the question of me in the first place. Right? So I'm not gonna start you out onto this receptivity training program. It's a 20-week course. It costs $8,000. And when you get to the end and it doesn't work, it'll be your fault. Don't believe your mind. There's nothing wrong with you. You are completely receptive. Did you not hear right in your heart everything I just said? That's all the evidence you need. Right? Don't listen to your mind. It is a badly trained dog, right? But worse, because the dog doesn't blame you. Does that help, Karen? Put a bit of a smile on your face. Not guilty. You've been found not guilty. Case closed. J Deep, good to see you. Namaste, Jeep. When I try to meditate, I keep telling myself I need not control the mind, right? But it often leads to an effort of trying to make no effort, and I lose the peace. Seeking your advice on it. I need not control the mind, right? Yes, you don't. You really don't have to, right? And even trying to make no effort, right, is the mind, right? And of course, because we're so used to using our minds, our mind it's trying to figure out how it fits in this whole equation. Well, there's got to be something for me to do here, right? And it's dutifully trying to find its place to try to help you out. I mean, it really is trying to help you out, right? And so I'm making effort, and now I lost my peace. Okay. When you say I lost my peace, what are you talking about? What it means is suddenly it's not quiet anymore. Your whole body feels agitated, right? It's like restless. Oh, I got to do something else. Oh, and then the recriminating statements. Oh my God, I really messed up. God, I should have done this better. Okay, next time I meditate, right? Put all of that aside. Right now, put that aside. It absolutely doesn't matter. Right? I don't care what your mind is doing. It doesn't matter, including saying the effort to try to make no effort. It's just a thought. Dial down a bit. What's your intention? Get to the purity of the intention behind even meditating, why you're doing it, rather than a technique to get some result. What are you after? Right? You just want to know you. You want to know who you are. You want to feel the sweet peace of being yourself. Right? You've learned a lot of stuff along the way, and people have told you got to meditate like this, and the mind's got to become quiet, and this has got to happen over here, and then you don't have to control the mind, and we get all confused about it. Just sink back in. What is your simple intention? Do you simply not want to know the truth? Now, how does that feel? Is there any doubt about that? Even your mind may be saying, well, yeah, but don't we need to get, but isn't it the essence of it? You simply want to know the truth. You want to know who you are, right? Pure, absolutely pure. And it's the only reason you've done any of this. You want that so much that if it required a Herculean effort on your part, you'd do it. Somebody else tells you, don't do any effort. So now you're trying really hard to not make any effort, right? It's noble. I mean, you're a good student. Right? Now just set it back. Okay, if I needed to make an effort, I would. If I need to make an effort at not making an effort, I would. So I don't know what the hell to do. So I'll just come back to the place I know, my heart, the center of me. Why am I here? Why do I do this at all? Why do I ask this question? Why do I show up? Listen to this old guy go on about stuff. Can you feel that? That's true meditation. That's touching in to that part of you that is not engaged in any of this. That part of you that is the voice leading you back home. The part of you that knows the truth, right? And that voice is the voice of truth. That's your heart. That's your real heart. Just stay there. Just stay there. Forget the techniques. Forget it all. You don't need it. Just stay there. If something should pop up, go, yeah, it popped up. And just stay there. That's the timeless place. No past and no future there. It's your pure now. This is really what I feel. That's my pure desire. And a pure desire is prayer. And that is a prayer God is a sucker for. She cannot help but answer it because she put it there. How's that, JD? GP Walsh the musical, soon in a grocery store near you. Wouldn't that be great? Shopping in a like a flash mob, right? Where suddenly everybody just breaks into song. I love that when that happens. I've never seen one live. I've just seen videos, but oh, so marvelous. So marvelous when that happens. Raphael, thank you for your answer. That was helpful. Good, good. Lola. Oh, Lola, where'd you go, Lola? It jumped ahead. Lola, there's Lola. Hi, G. Due to stress, I have pain in my stomach, digestion issues, and my skin also reacts to that. Do you have any advice as to what to do? Yes, remove the stress. Right? Remember, stress is our nervous system in relationship to the environment. Right? And it runs very deep. There's a lot of stress we're under that we're completely unaware of. Right? There's the obvious things, circumstances in our lives that are difficult, right? When relationships are difficult. There's the kind of stuff of having more to do than you know how to, than you have time to do, or having to do something you don't really know how to do. Those are stressors we are conscious of. But there's also other stressors, very deeply laid inside of us, that are the result of past traumas that have yet to be resolved. The solution to all of them is a redefining of your relationship with the environment, right? The stress is caused because there's a relationship to the environment of basically it's of antagonism. There's the underlying sense that the environment is not safe, right? And the underlying sense of it not being safe, when it is those unconscious, those stresses that we're not aware of, there's nothing we can do about it. If it's out here, there's something I can do about it. It may be difficult. If I have a relationship that's causing stress, I can do something about it. I can take it up with the person, or I can get myself out of that, right? It might be very difficult to extricate yourself from it, but you can do it. There's something you can do about it. And therefore, never say there isn't anything I can do about it, right? You may prefer, you wish it could be different, but that's different, right? To say, this is the way it is, I accept it as it is, and I will now have to respond to it as it is. There's a power there that doesn't let the circumstance become traumatic, right? When I feel powerless is when it becomes traumatic. That's what happens to us as children. That's why it goes underground, and that's where all the unconscious stuff is. We have a relationship with the environment that's kind of preset, and so we're in this relationship of, without even being aware of it, assuming the environment we're in is dangerous to us, even when it isn't, because at one time it was. Now, that's kind of a brief way of describing the whole process of inner reconciliation, of reconciling with that energy. But inner reconciliation begins by creating the inner environment of safety. So the first thing you do is stop fighting yourself. You stop being your worst enemy, and you start becoming your friend. And that's simply a matter of listening to your own feelings. So this pain in the stomach, your digestion issues in the skin issues, these are all coming from that underlying sense of being out of sync with your world. You're not where you belong. You are outside of yourself. So you're disconnected from your soul, basically. So this is where you start, right? when that pain is there in the stomach or digestion or something, by all means, be gentle with yourself, take care of yourself, exercise, eat right, all of that stuff. But when you're feeling that in your body, notice that what you want to do is, I got to get rid of this. I've got to do something about this. That attitude right there, that belief system is what's creating the conflict. That will only intensify it, because now the nervous system is creating this digestion and the stomach problem and these issues because there's something wrong, right? And it needs help, right? Now, when you try to say, I got to get rid of it, I got to get rid of it, what you're doing is basically telling it to shut up. It's saying, look, something's up. We need to do something. We need to help. We need help. And you're saying, go away, right? Go away. I don't want to hear about it. Like some little kid coming to you in the park or something, all upset and crying, can't even talk, and you're going, oh, go get away, kid. Here, read this self-help book. Change your thinking, right? You wouldn't do that to a child. You'd pick it up, you'd put her on her lap, you'd stroke her hair. It's okay. It's okay. You'd hold her. You would assure her everything is absolutely okay. You would create an environment of safety for her, right? So that's what you need to do internally. This is the whole thrust of what I teach in inner reconciliation, how to do that. Because we've all been taught, we've all been trained into an antagonistic role in a role with ourselves, right? That's the heart and soul of the soul disconnect that has just completely alienated us from our own nature. So every feeling I have is an enemy that I have to get rid of. It isn't an enemy. It's you. It's an important part of you. So become instead loving towards your body. Oh my God, something in my stomach here. Okay. I'm just going to be with it. My body's very smart, very intelligent. Right? The most remarkable thing the universe produced so far, right? I'm alive because I'm the children of the best of the best, right? If their particular line didn't make it, well, I wouldn't be here. So I'm obviously the winners. I'm the children. We are the children of the winners, right? We're the best, right? So this knows what it's doing. Right? So just, okay. What do I need to do? How can I help you? And just really do your best to free yourself from any kind of intention to fix it or make it go away. Put all self-help to the side because it's of no help here. And then just be present with it. Just start with that. Right? And just watch the effect it has just as you step out of an antagonistic role with it. The conflict falls away. And guess what that conflict is? That's the stress. If there's no conflict, what happens? I don't have to be in defensive posture anymore. Are you following this, Lola? So inner reconciliation. I'm going to put up, where are you? There it is. I'll get my little plug in. I have to before Lisa tells me to. Right? I have all sorts of stuff about inner reconciliation. A lot of it's free. I've got those 7 videos that I just did right here on YouTube. You can also go over to my site. They're available there. I think you can get to them from this page. I've got free videos about it. Evan and I will be doing some demonstrations of inner reconciliation over the next several weeks, building up to the big event, a bigger training I'm going to be doing in September, where I'm going to show you all how to do it for yourself and others. I've got home study courses. So, this is my process. This is not the heart. Non-duality is the heart and soul of it, but the manifestation of that non-dual in a practical way in which I can bring you into peace with yourself is inner reconciliation. And I have all sorts of resources to show you how to do it. And the beautiful thing is it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not hard because it's actually who you really are. I'm not going to. It's not self-help. Not going to twist you into some knot so that you're yet another technique. It takes away all the techniques. So you simply find yourself as you are, and you realize that there's never been anything wrong with you ever. You just thought there was. Poof. It's that simple. Did y'all get that? Thank you, Lola. Nazrin says hi. Hello, Nazrin. Eli, GP, looking good in the long hair. I just cut all mine off myself. No. Yeah, I just, I don't know. COVID happened. It started to grow. I let it grow, and now I don't want to cut it. Charles Ed, thanks for the clarity, GP. You're very welcome. Remy, how you doing, Remy? GP, why do things from the past seem like a whole different life or person it happened to? For example, I remember your childhood, but after meditating for years now, it seemed like it happened to someone else or different life. Yeah, it does feel that way because our sense of identity is constantly changing. At this time in my life, I felt this is who I really was, right? A few years later, it's like, because you're not that anymore, right? The thing is that we think that one of these identities we come to is going to be me. This is it, right? None of them are. You're the emptiness, and identities come and go. That's okay. They're allowed to do that. The identity that worked very well at 10 years old is a complete failure at 15, which would be a complete failure at 20, 25, on and on it goes, right? So there's a constant reinvention, not of you. You don't change. You're the empty background against which all of this is happening. But what you're witnessing is the brilliance and creativity of your whole energy system as it's constantly adapting to an ever-changing impermanence. And when you recognize that's what's happening, and you no longer try to hold on to a particular identity, you have infinite inner resources to deal with everything. You're in the flow. You are no longer a person. You are life itself. And you see the extraordinary adaptability of life to life. And you are who? No one in particular. Nothing knowable or perceivable. But that from which, because of its unlimited, infinite nature, every single moment can occur. Thanks, Remy. Faith, hi, Meshik. I don't have any questions. I just need to sit with you and enjoy your words and energy behind as I feel so tired and I want to hold your hand. I have burden on my back. I love you, Babaji. Okay. I've just taken the burden off. No more burden. It was never really there in the first place. It's just your mind telling you that. I have your hand. I have it very tightly. Not going anywhere. You're totally safe. No more burden. David Elaine. Such a simple yet profound intro, G. Before the true sense of I am is seen, that veil of separation seems very dense and opaque. But when it is known, it's seen that there was never any veil. Thank you for always pointing to the truth beyond the illusion with love and deep gratitude. Thank you, guys. Beautiful. There never was a veil. How can you veil the eye? Oh, there's a veil. You can't make a veil to you. There's nothing you can construct that can keep you from you. From other? Yeah, and that's the imagine. Oh, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. And of course you don't. You're not supposed to. Because you're not anything that can be known. You cannot build a veil. There is no veil for you. Can you find anything that could put a separation between you and you? You'd have to be two. And they go, well, damn, which one am I? But don't worry if it feels like there's a veil. Right? Oh, it feels like there's a veil. Okay, it feels like there's a veil. Fine. To whom is this feeling of a veil appearing? Is that veiled? Total blindness, total chaos in my mind. I can't think of anything. Right. Is that which is aware of that veiled? Can anything ever veil that which is aware of it? Don't worry about the rest. The mind thinks you're somebody out there and therefore assumes there's a veil here. Well, I must be able to see me out there. But if you're not out there, then there is no veil. The sun can't see its own light. Right? Looks, if I'm sitting on the sun, I'm looking around, what do I see? I see blackness. Right? Or I'll see something being reflected back to me. Oh my goodness, what a pretty planet that is. Beautiful light coming from that. No, it's your light. It's your light, revealing everything else. Beautiful. Thank you, David, Elaine, oh, my dear friends. I am planning on seeing you guys next year. I'm going to wander through Europe. Plans are already in the making. I'm even already selling all the stuff that I just bought for my place here. Milo, hi G. I tend to hold on to things and I'm afraid of changes sometimes. Also, I often live in the past. Please share some words of wisdom with me. What can I do? Thank you. First off, don't make a big deal out of it. The mind loves problems. Oh, give me a problem. I'm thinking about the past. That can just be, oh, look, I'm thinking about the past. Or it can be, how did you put it? I'm living in the past. It's a problem. Is it really? What does that mean? Are you really living in the past? I mean, are you sitting there? It's like 1942, and somehow you've run across the internet and YouTube. No, you're not living in the past. You are not in the past. It's just thoughts of the past. And it's very common for thoughts of the past to come up because that's how the nervous system works out a future, feels safe in the present. It's part of the way the system works. And it's very, very powerful, right? It's very useful. Okay? I remembered how to put a shirt on today. Something I learned in the past, right? And I have memories, memories that kind of you go, ooh, boy, what was I thinking? And others like, oh, wow, that was wonderful. Knowing that nothing's permanent, the beautiful experiences I had in the past, they're temporary. In the moment, you want them to last forever, but we know they can't. They go, there's a sting. But if we're mature, we just, yes. They have to come and go or they wouldn't have any value. It is this ebb and flow that gives everything its sweetness, its beauty. If I tasted nothing but sweet all the time, there'd be no sweet. What does the inside of your mouth taste like? It's completely neutral. So that you can have the experience of savory and sour, of bitter and sweet. Right? So you're not living in the past. There's just recurring thoughts of the past, and your mind says that's a problem. You've got to get rid of the thoughts of the past, which itself is just a thought about the past, right? It's not true. You don't have to get rid of anything. You do not have to get rid. I wouldn't want you to get rid of it. You have some wonderful memories, I'm sure, that every time they come to mind, you get a big smile on your face. I know I do. Some of those memories being created this morning. And of course, they're going to come and go. There's nothing wrong with that. But the moment the mind says, I'm living in the past, I should be thinking differently, I should be experiencing something differently. Notice you've put yourself into a circumstance that isn't really there to create some kind of an environment, some kind of a changing situation, some kind of a situation that needs fixing. And if that takes root as a real belief, you'll invest all sorts of time and money and effort into trying to fix the problem that was never a problem in the first place. It was completely made up by the mind. That's what self-help is, an attempt to solve problems that don't exist. The mind creates a problem and then designs these elaborate solutions to it because it just wants to keep busy. For one moment, imagine, everybody, that you've finally taken the last self-help course. That's it. This was the one, the ultimate. You have arrived. You're done. That's it. No more. I have perfectly improved myself. I'm there. Notice how uncomfortable the mind is with that, let alone all the people trying to sell you self-help courses. They go, oh, no. Oh, no, there's more. You got to get more. It's one of the reasons why I'm the world's worst salesman, right? Spent my whole life selling water, standing by a river, right? So let go of that idea. What if you're already okay? Right? And the mind has just tricked you into thinking you're not to keep you busy. Because that's the truth. There's never been anything wrong with you. Right? The past is the past. It has experiences. Some are sweet, some are bitter. They come and go, right? And if we think that's a problem, when they come, they're going to have an intensity that they don't really have. The intensity is because we're interpreting them as a problem. So now I'm engaging with them in the present as a problem I have to solve, which now tells me what I'm going to do in the future. How I can do that. How I can stop living in the past. Right? You're not. You're right here in the present. And you know it, right? So let the thoughts come and go. The same, a lot of people will say you're living in the future. Get real, right? Screw that. That somebody asserting a different, they want your sense of existence and experience to be the same, to justify theirs. So what does that mean? You have thoughts about the future. Why do you have a lot of thoughts about the future? Or even why a lot of thoughts about the past? Because there's probably something about the present you're not happy with. So just put your attention back there. Well, what is it about right now that I wish was different? And you kind of let that come up to the surface. And then you become friends with that. Oh, right, I understand that. Because believe it or not, this is another tenet of inner reconciliation. You can be completely content in the moment and simultaneously have a desire for something new and fresh and have no conflict between the two of them, as long as you don't take sides. So you can be in a state where you're completely okay with what's happening right now. And, wow, wouldn't it be great if? So that desire and that sense of the present moment can be completely in harmony. You're free of suffering, and that's all that matters. And then life is free to flow in whatever direction it is. Because of course, there's always, it's the nature of desire to create, the intention to move forward and things like that. And that is the right sense of visionary. When you're in the space of the heart, the space of the peacemaker, which doesn't create a conflict between them. Right? So hopefully that answers it for you, for you, Milo. I don't know if those qualify for words of wisdom, but they're the best I got. Jay, I was listening to Eckhart Tolle last night. What? Not me? Infidel. And he was quoting Nisargadatta Maharaj. The constant refusal to harbor thoughts that instantly erases all questions and doubts for me. The constant refusal to harbor thoughts. Yes, that's the quote. That instantaneously erases all questions and doubts for me. As Eckhart points, our only use only use the mind when needed. Otherwise, would be in tune here and now. Yes, yeah, just use it when it's needed. It's just we've all been trained into overuse of the mind. Yeah, we've become a very mental world. The world is nothing but a mental construct, right? When people tell you what's reality, it's just a concept. It's just an idea that people have. We're fighting each other over the imaginary, fictitious notions. Everybody has their own sense of the world, right? The world is nothing but a thought. Right? What is the reality? You. That's the only reality you know. And so we're simply, refusing to harbor thoughts, right? That doesn't mean get rid of thoughts, because you can see it's a dead end. Right? Now you're fighting, and the energy of that fighting creates thought. That is the energy of which, in Eckhart's terms, the pain body, it feeds on. It wants to create conflict, right? So if I have to get rid of my thoughts, you've created a conflict because you can't. They don't obey you. But if I lose interest, wow, that's completely different. You lose interest, it's like they just can't get your attention. Now, harboring them is, we've got some that we like better than others. I really want to hold on to this idea that I have of myself. I'm really spiritual, right? Some of these, it's like I want to hold on to that. I like that. I like that thought, Right? Let them all go. Don't harbor any thoughts at all. As Nisargadatta says, just let go of all of false thoughts. That's all. There's no need for true thoughts. There aren't any. You don't need to replace them. The idea of affirmations and vision boards and stuff like that, it's okay. Don't really have an issue for it. But if you want to know who you are, you don't replace one thought with another thought. Even if it's a better thought, it's still a thought. You're not a thought. And since you're not a thought, no thought could possibly capture you any more than you could get an entire person's life into a photograph or even a video. You just can't capture the dynamism and the nuance and the variation and the beauty of a life in a thought. You can't do it. So, but because, that the constant refusal is a practice, because we have become so used to listening to thoughts, following them, believing them, struggling with them, trying to get rid of them, right? That yes, we have to refuse to harbor them, to stop going after that, right? Oh, okay. It's a thought. That's all it is. What I'm showing you is the most direct way out of that whole miasma, right? Don't give it a second thought. There's just a thought there. But remember, the thoughts and emotions are a continuum, right? The thought will have some sting to it. It'll seem to have a staying power to it. And when it's felt, it has a different, it It's like it ups the sense of it as being a reality. All it means is it's being felt. That's it. There's a continuum between sensation, emotion, and thought. They're actually three different aspects of the same thing. Right? They're not really different any more than red light and blue light are different. They're both light. In essence, they are identical. They're different aspects of the same essential thing. And so sensation, thought, and emotion are a continuum. Right? And so they're all going to appear together. And it's quite all right. Don't harbor, that is, don't give them safe harbor, right? Just recognize them for what they are and don't hold on. And if you don't hold on, they don't have hands. They can't hold on to you. So, thanks, Jay. But I'm very upset that you weren't listening to me. Indolent little student. Ah, Susanna, looking beautiful today, G. Well, thank you. Hey, Lisa. Hello. Meditation is the moment your attention is turned inward to the self, towards consciousness. Yes, exactly so. It's that simple, right? Don't make it elaborate. Please. Please, let's not make it into a Hollywood special effects movie with all the right costumes and postures and equipment and please, no. The moment I turn my attention to myself, that is, that which is aware, I am in meditation. I am in communion with the soul. I have entered the temple, the Holy of Holies. Rosario, GP, wonderful and profound, the explanation about healing. Thank you. You're very welcome. Penny, hello, Sifu. Hello, Penny. Lisa, if it doesn't get the views, it gets dropped. Don't give it ratings. Yes. Yeah, don't give your mind good ratings. And Susanna just had a friend like that. Yep. Oh, haven't we all? Yeah, that's what the mind does. That's what the mind does. Hey, go do that. Oh, it would be great. No, it's going to be really good. Then you do it, and the mind goes, well, that was stupid. What were you thinking? What an idiot you are. Facebook user. What an unusual name. I don't recognize that. I think that's, I don't know, Yiddish or something. Hey, GP, thanks again for holding these Q&As. Question, if someone gains awakening and or understanding, is that held in memory within the body? And if so, could one lose it again with dementia or brain damage? And if so, at the end of the body's life, would the awakening be gone to then just start over again, asleep, living another experience? No, that's not the way it works. Because awakening is not a state, it's an insight, it's a realization of something. And a realization is not simply an altered consciousness that can then alter back. It is a recognition of that which is. It is not a state, it is not fluctuating. Now, our experience, it can fluctuate. And I can have an enormous awakening, what would be called an awakening experience. It's not an experience. You are simply being as you really are, and everything else has been silenced. There's nothing left but me. Just as I did the little meditation earlier on, I think, for Lola, I think, don't remember. Then what happens is the energy of the mind, conditioning, comes back, recreates a self, and then that self calls what had happened an experience and says it's gone, right? But it's not gone any more than the sky is gone when the clouds are there. The clouds have reappeared, nothing more, right? This is what's important. This is the transition that has to take place, right? Now, a disease like Alzheimer or falling into a coma, right, will remove content, right? Or the content will change. Memory is gone. So that sense of self that was associated with the memory, well, that's gone, right? I forget who I was. I forget who people are, right? But I'm still quite here, right? That which I'm experiencing has changed. The whole structure of the experience has changed, but I'm still here. That doesn't go anywhere. And when this whole body falls away, the sense of identity falls away as well. The sense of who you were, all the memories gradually fall away, right? Because they've all just been held in consciousness like a dream. And like a dream, a vivid dream you had last night, wow, early in the morning, and within minutes or sometimes a little longer, it's just, what was that dream? You can't bring it back. That's what the ending of life is, right? Alzheimer's would really be, we're calling it Alzheimer's from our perspective, looking at somebody who no longer recognizes you. That's not their experience, right? They're still very much there having experiences, but without that point of reference any longer. So let's see, let me look back at this. How if someone gains awakening. So the awakening is not in memory. It is that which is not remembered at all. It is that which is. It doesn't need to be remembered. It doesn't have to take the form of a thought that can come and go, because it doesn't come and go. It is the consciousness that is hearing my words right this moment. The experience might come and go, right? The intensity, the emotional reaction to awakening is something that can come and go, but the awakening itself can't. So you're not going to start over again, sound asleep. That would be really horrible. Shiva's wheel was complete, kind of like Groundhog Day or those movies where they keep living the same day over and over again, right? Except they realize they're living the same day over and over again. Whereas we don't, we just keep living the same, and we don't even know it. We're stuck in this wheel and we don't even know it. It isn't like that. Not at all. There's not even a sense of starting over. And so I really urge you to put your attention onto that which is not a memory. Right? All of your past are memories. Yeah, every event, even your name is a memory, which you might forget someday, right? For whatever reason, you might forget it. Obviously, when this body falls away, what we call death, you will forget your name. You don't remember your name in your last lives, do you? You'll forget this one too, right? It will be no more than a dream. So, okay, that's gone. Future, nothing but projection, isn't it? I don't know what's really going to happen, so I'm projecting things. So let that go, right? What's left? There's very much something here, isn't there? And it's not a memory. It's much more solid than a memory. You don't have to remember it. It's just here, right? If you're sitting there talking to a person, having a conversation, you don't have to remember them, right? They're right there. Put your attention there. Put your attention in this place that you can't describe it. It's always there. It requires no effort on your part. It's just here. That's all you have to do. Okay? And notice that's not a memory. It's not even an experience. It isn't attended with great fireworks or seeing lights or anything like that. It's very quiet, almost ordinary. I have to check my battery life. I have to plug you in. I forgot to do that. Oh, cord's right. Cord's right there. I had it all set up to plug it in, and I forgot to plug it in. So, how's that, Facebook user? Yeah, for everybody, just put your attention on that which is obviously here, and that's you. And you don't remember you. Remember things about you, past events, all of that memory coming, going. Even the memory is kind of, it's not really trustworthy, is it? So it's like, oh, okay. So even if it all fell away and I didn't know, and I didn't even know who I was anymore, I wouldn't care. The people with Alzheimer's aren't suffering. It's the ones around them that want them to be there, but they themselves are not. I know it sounds strange to say, but that gives me comfort, right? You know. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for that, Facebook user. J Deep, that was very, very helpful, GP, as always. Much love. Much love to you. Question from Susanna, the Creative Revolution. The more authentic I become, the harder it is to fake it in the world. The harder it is becoming to make money and survive, etc. Do I have to have two hats? Public persona and authentic self? At first, it can feel that way, because when the sense of identity, the sense of identity as an egoic self, right? It does congeal itself into a particular form. It happens to everybody, right? Matter of fact, if you look at the angst of teenagers, they don't really know it, but they're struggling to find a persona, a character, a sense of identity that will be functional in the world. They can make a living, they can know success, they can find a mate, all the things that matter to us. And it does through high school and college. It does eventually solidify into something. You usually call it getting your career, deciding what you're going to do, and things like that, which is really choosing who I'm going to be. And that choice kind of narrows things down, so it kind of makes life a little bit easier, because if this is who I am, then, I know who I'm going to have relationships with. I'm not going to kind of work I'm going to do, the kind of clothes I'm going to wear, the entertainment. All of a sudden, this infinite range of possibility gets reduced down to a manageable set. That's the point. That's the purpose of it, right? Now, as we spiritually mature, if we spiritually mature, first off, many people don't. But if we spiritually mature, and you have, otherwise you wouldn't be here, that persona becomes uncomfortable, right? Now, this is what you're feeling, the discomfort with it. It's out of sync. The shoes don't fit, or there's a pebble in the shoe, and I can't get it out, right? And so it feels like I'm wearing two hats. It's okay. It's a transitionary period. What's happening is that fixed sense of identity that really holding on to something, is trying to solidify itself into a really solid position, is falling away, and you're becoming more fluid. And what's going to happen is this rigid persona is going to become looser and looser and looser until you simply start flowing from one form into another. Now, this is not like the chameleon manipulating circumstances. It's a very natural sensitivity that allows you to show up to every circumstance with such openness and such love, and with no agenda, that there's these infinite resources become available to bring the absolute best out of this moment. When those resources appear, it will take on the form of what looks like a person, an identity, and will be perceived that way. But in fact, it isn't. It is a momentary appearing, a momentary condensation of this infinite potential of energy that you are, coming into a particular form that's absolutely right for the moment. It's like, the whole range of color of light, but in this moment, only these two in this particular balance are what this moment needs. And being somebody like you who's been on the stage, you know how significant the lighting is, right? A scene can be a comedy, a tragedy, or an ecstasy, just based on just slightly different lighting. That's it. The moment requests it. And you, when you are no longer attached to a persona that's reacting to the environment, you flow with it. Now, at first, as we are really beginning to lose that fixed sense of identity, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable, a little weird even. Sometimes I remember vividly just one of those times where it was just kind of, it was a very sudden transformation. And it was all of a sudden I went to say something and I had nothing to say. Now, this is coming from someone who was always with the life of the party, right? The center of attention, on stage all the time. And all of a sudden I went, nothing came, just complete emptiness. And for the next couple of years, I was almost a wallflower. It was so uncomfortable, but it was necessary in my spiritual growth for me to come out of the persona I had become, because it had been successful. It got me what I needed and that sort of thing. But quite literally, it was keeping me from having access to way, way more. And the system itself just shut me down. And people would say, God, I had no idea you were so shy. And I'd be sitting somewhere, I'd say absolutely nothing. I'd have nothing to say. At first, it was really uncomfortable, and little by little, a whole new energy began to emerge. I didn't have to. I didn't have to take control of the moment. I didn't have to be the center anymore. It was such a huge relief. It was like, oh, wow. And suddenly different kinds of characteristics started to emerge for me. Different aspects of me that I'd forgotten I had came. And then little by little, about 4 or 5 years into this, about 2 years, it just kind of solidified. And I was very comfortable. Just whether I say anything or I say nothing didn't matter anymore. And then all of the other energy of wit, of being articulate with language and that sort of stuff did come back. But this time it was under control. This time it was serving rather than dominating. Very, very different. So it's not like anything gets lost in the process. It just gets put to serve the higher purpose. Right? It stops being about you and it becomes everything about us. You now become a part of the we. You're an essential ingredient energetically in the whole energetic pie of every single moment that's happening. So, and you will just find that even the times when there's nothing for you to contribute, and you're just there silently, there's a peace about it. It's fine. Right? Or maybe something very, very small. And sometimes it's just your presence alone that's all that's needed. Right? Like the sunshine, even though the sunshine isn't reflecting anything, isn't saying anything. So, do not be concerned. Don't try to take conscious control over. I got to do this. It's happening all by itself. Right? I've injected the serum into you. Don't worry about it. And this vaccine doesn't have any nasty ingredients. Something to drink here. My lovely concoction. Let's see. Hugs from Brazil from Andrea. Hello, Andrea. Translator in Portuguese, please. Well, I've got somebody who can translate now from German. In German, we have started taking some of the memes and stuff, turning it into German. We're actually, it's just come up recently about having some things translated into French on a larger scale. I just need some direction on how to go about all of this, but it's so nice to have people helping me. I have to tell you, I'm not used to it. Let's see. We'd love to see you, G, whenever and whatever that is. Great. Thank you, guys. David and Elaine. Thank you, Mr. GP. Hugs from Brazil. Namaste. Thanks to you. Maybe I've reverted to being a teenager. You never stopped, Susanna. Neither have I. Don't tell anybody. I'm still just this 19-year-old kid stuck in a 69-year-old body. I'm still not sure how I got here, but that's all that's here. Exactly how I feel. Nothing to say, not needing to be the center, not caring about the things I used to. Yes. That, to me, is what I look for. I do not look for the big ideas or the special stuff. For I had this incredible experience. I saw God, I had ego death. All of that means nothing to me. Nisargadatta made a beautiful comment talking about his enlightenment, and he was a fully enlightened master. He said, I have tasted all the yogic powers and I have washed myself clean of them. There is no, what was the word he used? There is no greatness in spiritual power. Wow. True master. So what I look for is just the subtle wisdom appearing. That sense of, it starts as discomfort because your clothes don't fit anymore, but a willingness to just keep going with it. Suddenly not needing to be the center of attention, not need to be heard, not to have an opinion, not to not have them, but to just the attitude towards them is just more subtle, more kind, more not as the enforcer is gone. There's more patience. There's more consideration. There's more nuance. There's just there these really qualities that are much more difficult to put into terms that I look for in the student as the sign that there's a real blossoming is taking place. The big experiences, I saw God or something like that, aren't always trustworthy. Because if something doesn't pierce deep into the character and that serum get injected into the entire system, it'll overwhelm that vision and can sometimes leave them worse than it found them, like kundalini awakening kind of things for somebody who's not prepared for it. There's a preparation that has to take place that allows it to colonize the system and subdue it, so it isn't just reactionary, right? And that's what I look for. And you probably noticed that in all my classes that I do, that I'm not pushing for that big, I'm not pushing for that moment. There's a constant inculturation, constant purification, a constant opening, a constant moving more and more into the heart. So when that big comes, there's a place to receive it, right? That seed is spread upon the good ground so it can grow into fruit. So the G4 serum, the alternative to experimental vaccine. Plan. Thank you, GP. Great satsang. Well, look at this. I got through the queue. I got through the whole queue. Wonderful. Bless you all. Bless you all. Bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to be with here again with you today. It is. It's hard to put into words what you guys mean to me. So, thank you. Thank you as always, and I will see you next week, and our show on Tuesday, and hopefully I'll see some of you in the upcoming class. Let me stick it up there one more time, so that we can dive deeply into the practical aspect of awakening. So it's not just this, this one time, big event. Oh yeah, I had the awakening experience, right? That it is truly an awakened life. So anyway, all my love to you guys. Namaste.